So the first thing in Unit 3 that we have to learn is something called the chain rule, which comes up all the time in calculus. So this happens when we have a function inside of a function. It's like nesting dolls. So if we had f of g of x, or you may have seen it written like this, like fog, f of g of x. So to take the derivative, it's not as simple as just like f prime of g of x, because g of x is not just x. If it was f prime of x, we wouldn't have to do anything, right? But since the g of x is replacing the x here, we're going to need to add an additional step. So for the chain rule, you take the derivative of the outer function, so f prime, and then you leave the inner function as is. You leave it untouched, but then you multiply by by the inner function's derivative. So let's say we had something like this. 3x cubed plus 2 all to the fifth. So notice this isn't just x to the fifth, and it's not just 3x cubed plus 2. It's kind of a mix of both. The 3x cubed plus 2 is inside of something to the fifth. So we'll define our f of x to be x to the fifth, and then our g of x to be 3x cubed plus 2. So we'll bring the 5 down onto the outside, so it'll be 5 times, we leave the inside unchanged, and then subtract 1 from the exponent, and then multiply by the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of 3x cubed is 9x squared due to the power rule, and the derivative of 2 is just 0. So then this is our final derivative using the chain rule. And it's a little easier to remember than the other ones just because you just have to multiply by the derivative of the inside. And if you have multiple iterations of the chain rule, you just keep multiplying by the derivative of the inside. Now another example of this would be something like cosine of x squared, where you'd first take the derivative of the outer function, cosine, and then you get negative sine of x squared. But then since the x squared is not just x, it's not just sine of x, you have to multiply by its derivative, so times 2x. And then this is your derivative of cosine of x squared.